My wife destroyed our marriage at our anniversary dinner. What happened next? Left everyone speechless. A true story of betrayal, public humiliation, and the sweet taste of karma that nobody saw coming. They say you never truly know someone until you divorce them. In my case, I didn't even know my wife of 15 years until the night of our anniversary dinner. The night she decided to destroy our marriage in front of everyone we loved. My name is Daniel, and this is the story of how my picture-perfect life imploded in a single evening, and the unbelievable chain of events that followed. The perfect couple, or so everyone thought. Rebecca and I met in our final year of college. She was studying psychology. I was finishing my business degree. We bumped into each other, literally, at a coffee shop near campus. I spilled my latte all over her white blouse, and somehow that disaster turned into a dinner date. Her laugh was infectious, her ambition inspiring, and within 6 months, I knew she was the one. We married 2 years after graduation in a beautiful ceremony with 200 guests. Everyone said we were perfect together, the power couple. I started my own marketing agency that grew steadily each year, while Rebecca built a reputation as one of the city's most sought-after therapists. We bought a stunning house in the suburbs, traveled extensively, and eventually welcomed our daughter, Lily, into the world. From the outside, our life was enviable. We hosted dinner parties where people would marvel at how in sync we were, finishing each other's sentences and sharing private jokes. Our social media feeds were filled with smiling family photos from exotic locations and heartfelt anniversary posts professing our undying love. "You guys make marriage look easy," our friends would say. If only they knew what was happening behind closed doors. The slow unraveling. The truth was that our marriage had been deteriorating for the past 3 years. It started with small things. Rebecca staying later at her office, being constantly glued to her phone, growing irritated when I asked about her day. Sex became infrequent, then practically non-existent. When I tried to discuss it, she accused me of pressuring her and being insensitive to her stress. "You have no idea what it's like to carry other people's emotional burdens all day," she would snap, referring to her therapy practice. "The last thing I need is to come home to more demands." I tried everything to reignite our connection. Date nights, surprise gifts, couples therapy, ironic, given her profession, even suggesting a second honeymoon. Nothing worked. Rebecca seemed increasingly distant, as if she'd built an invisible wall between us that I couldn't breach. Still, I never suspected what was really going on. I blamed her emotional distance on burnout, on the pressures of balancing motherhood and career. I told myself it was just a phase, that all marriages go through rough patches. We would weather this storm like we had weathered others. What a fool I was. The anniversary dinner. For our 15th anniversary, I planned what I thought would be the perfect celebration to rekindle our romance. I rented a private room at Eloise, the upscale restaurant where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. I invited 30 of our closest friends and family members, including Rebecca's parents, who flew in from Phoenix specifically for the occasion. I spent weeks organizing every detail, from the custom menu featuring all of Rebecca's favorite dishes to the string quartet playing our wedding song when we entered. I even arranged for a videographer to capture the evening, planning to compile the footage with our wedding video and family movies as an anniversary gift. The day of the dinner, I presented Rebecca with a platinum and diamond bracelet that I'd been saving for months to buy. She seemed genuinely touched, kissing me softly and whispering, "Tonight will be memorable, I promise." Those words would turn out to be the understatement of the century. The evening started beautifully. Rebecca looked stunning in a red dress I'd never seen before. Our guests arrived, champagne flowed, and the atmosphere was festive. After the appetizers, I stood to make a toast, raising my glass to the woman who had shared my life for 15 wonderful years. To Rebecca, I said, my partner, my best friend, the mother of our beautiful daughter, and the love of my life. These 15 years have been the greatest blessing. Here's to many, many more. Everyone clinked glasses. Rebecca smiled, but there was something off about her expression. Something cold and determined that sent a chill down my spine. She stood up, taking her own glass. "I'd like to make a toast as well," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the suddenly quiet room. "To 15 years of marriage," she began. 15 years of building a life together, sharing dreams, creating memories. She paused, taking a sip of her champagne. "And to honesty, because without honesty, what do we really have?" An uncomfortable murmur rippled through our guests. This wasn't the light, loving toast they were expecting. "Daniel has always valued honesty, haven't you, darling?" she continued, turning to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So in the spirit of honesty, I think tonight is the perfect night to finally tell the truth. To everyone." My heart began hammering in my chest. Whatever was coming, I knew it wasn't good. "The truth is," Rebecca announced, her voice steady and clear, "I've been unhappy for years, and for the past 18 months, I've been having an affair with David Cooper." The room fell deadly silent. David Cooper was my business partner, my friend since college, the best man at our wedding. He and his wife Lisa were sitting just 3 tables away, their faces frozen in shock. "Rebecca," I whispered, "what are you doing?" She ignored me, continuing as if she were simply discussing the weather. "I've tried to find the right time to tell you, Daniel, but there never seemed to be a perfect moment to blow up someone's world. So I decided that tonight, this celebration of our so-called perfect marriage, was as good a time as any. I'm leaving you. I've already filed for divorce." The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, my vision actually blurring around the edges. Lisa Cooper jumped to her feet, screaming at her husband, who sat pale-faced and silent. But Rebecca wasn't finished. "Oh, and there's one more thing you should all know," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Lily isn't Daniel's biological daughter. She's David's." And with that final bombshell, my wife of 15 years placed her wedding ring on the table, picked up her purse, and walked out of the restaurant, leaving behind a room full of stunned faces and the shattered remains of my life. The videographer captured every excruciating moment. The aftermath. The next few weeks were the darkest of my life. I moved into a hotel because I couldn't bear to stay in our house, surrounded by family photos that now felt like elaborate lies. Rebecca moved in with David, whose marriage to Lisa predictably imploded that same night. The video of Rebecca's announcement, which the videographer had continued filming, possibly out of shock or professional obligation, was accidentally shared with all dinner attendees when the video company's cloud storage had a privacy setting error. Within days, it had been leaked online and went viral. Complete strangers were dissecting the most painful moment of my life, analyzing Rebecca's cold delivery, my shocked expression, the reactions of our guests. Anniversary. From hell started trending. Memes were created. Talk shows discussed whether Rebecca was brave for living her truth or cruel for her public humiliation tactic. I received messages from people all over the world, some offering sympathy, others morbidly curious about details, a few even suggesting I'd probably deserved it somehow. Meanwhile, I was grappling with the devastating revelation about Lily. She was 12 years old, the center of my world, my beautiful, brilliant daughter, whom I'd loved since before she was born. The thought that she wasn't biologically mine was incomprehensible. I'd been there for her first steps, first words, first day of school. I'd bandaged scraped knees, checked for monsters under the bed, taught her to ride a bike. How could she not be mine? I demanded a paternity test, clinging to the hope that Rebecca's claim was just a cruel lie designed to hurt me. But the results confirmed the unthinkable. Lily was indeed David's biological child. Rebecca filed for primary custody, arguing that given the circumstances, it would be less confusing for Lily to live with her biological parents, as if finding out that her entire family structure was a lie wasn't confusing enough. I spiraled into depression. My business suffered as I could barely bring myself to function, let alone lead a company, especially with my business partner's betrayal still a raw wound. I lost weight, couldn't sleep, and began to withdraw from friends and family who meant well but couldn't possibly understand what I was going through. The worst part was seeing Lily only on court-mandated visitation days. She was confused and angry, lashing out at everyone, Rebecca, David, and me. How do you explain to a 12-year-old that the man she called Dad for her entire life isn't her real father? How do you tell her that her world has been upended because of adult choices she had no part in? "Do you not want me anymore since I'm not really yours?" she asked during one visitation, her voice small and uncertain. I pulled her into my arms, tears streaming down my face. "You have been mine from the moment I first held you," I told her fiercely. "Biology doesn't make a father, love does. And I have loved you every single day of your life. That will never, ever change." It was the first honest moment in months of chaos, and it became my lifeline. The one truth I could hold on to when everything else felt like quicksand beneath my feet. The unexpected phone call. 3 months after the anniversary dinner disaster, I received a call from an unknown number. "Is this Daniel Whitman?" a woman's voice asked when I answered. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Jennifer Lawson. I'm a literary agent with Meridian Publishing. I've seen the video of your anniversary dinner. I'm sorry, that sounds awful, but there's no delicate way to put it. I'm calling because there's significant interest in your story." I almost hung up. The last thing I wanted was to capitalize on the most painful experience of my life. "I'm not interested in some tell-all book," I said coldly. "That's not what I'm suggesting," Jennifer replied quickly. "I'm talking about a book about recovering from betrayal, about redefining family, about finding strength when your life implodes. Your story has resonated with thousands of people who've experienced similar betrayals, albeit perhaps not so publicly. You have an opportunity to help them, and maybe help yourself in the process." I remained skeptical, but agreed to meet with her the following week. Something about her approach felt different from the vultures who had been circling since the video went viral. Jennifer turned out to be nothing like I expected. In her early 50s, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, she listened more than she spoke during our meeting. When she did speak, it wasn't about sales potential or marketability. It was about healing through narrative, about reclaiming my story from the public domain. Right now, everyone thinks they know what happened to you based on a 10-minute video, she said. But that's just one moment in time. What about everything that led up to it? What about what came after? What about who you are beyond that guy whose wife humiliated him? For the first time since that fateful night, I felt something other than despair. A tiny spark of purpose. Maybe I could transform this nightmare into something meaningful. Maybe my story could help someone else feeling as lost and betrayed as I had been. I agreed to work with Jennifer on a memoir, with one condition. I would not vilify Rebecca or David. I would tell the truth, but I would not use the book as a vehicle for revenge. After all, Lily would someday read these words, and despite everything, she deserved to be protected from even more pain. The unexpected discovery. Writing the memoir forced me to revisit every aspect of my marriage, to search for signs I might have missed, to examine my own role in our relationship's breakdown. It was excruciating, but also strangely cathartic. As part of the process, I went through old emails, text messages, and photos. One night, while looking through our financial records for the timeline chapter, I noticed something odd. Regular transfers from our joint account to an account I didn't recognize, starting about 3 years ago, right around the time Rebecca began growing distant. The amounts varied, but averaged around $5,000 per month. At first, I assumed they were transfers to Rebecca's personal account, or perhaps investments she was making. But something didn't add up. The timing aligned too perfectly with the changes in our marriage. I contacted our bank and, as I was still on the joint account, was able to get information about the destination of these transfers. The account belonged to a company called Horizon Consulting. I had never heard of it. A quick search revealed nothing about the company except an address, a small office building downtown. No website, no social media presence, nothing. My curiosity piqued. I decided to visit the address the following day. The building was nondescript, housing several small businesses. There was no listing for Horizon Consulting in the directory, but one of the office numbers had no name attached. I took the elevator to the 4th floor and found the unmarked door. After a moment's hesitation, I knocked. No answer. I tried the handle. Locked. I was about to leave when a cleaning lady emerged from a nearby office. "Are you looking for someone?" she asked. "Yes, Horizon Consulting. Do you know if they're still located here?" She shook her head. "That office has been empty for months. Strange setup they had. Hardly anyone ever came in, just that one woman every few weeks. Left in a hurry, too." "A woman?" I asked, my heart beginning to race. What did she look like? "Attractive lady, always well-dressed. Brown hair, about yay tall," she gestured to about Rebecca's height. "Drove a fancy red sports car." Rebecca drove a red Porsche, a 40th birthday present to herself last year. "Thank you," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Do you know what kind of business they were in?" The woman shrugged. "No idea. Very private. Never talked to anyone in the building. The only reason I remember the car is because she always parked in the tenant's reserved spot, even though the owner repeatedly asked her not to." I thanked her again and left, my mind racing. What was Rebecca doing with an empty office? Why was she transferring thousands of dollars of our money to a shell company? None of it made sense, unless she had been planning to leave me for years, systematically siphoning money in preparation. But that didn't explain the empty office. Why pay rent on a space no one used? The truth exposed. I shared my discovery with my attorney, who immediately filed for financial discovery in our ongoing divorce proceedings. Rebecca fought it aggressively, which only confirmed my suspicions that something wasn't right. After weeks of legal battles, the court ordered a complete forensic accounting of all our finances, personal and business. What they uncovered was far worse than I had imagined. Horizon Consulting wasn't just a repository for diverted funds, it was the centerpiece of an elaborate scheme. Rebecca and David had been siphoning money not only from our personal accounts, but also from my marketing agency, where David had been cooking the books for years. They had been systematically embezzling funds, hiding the money in offshore accounts under Horizon's name. The total amount stolen, just over $3 million. But the betrayal went even deeper. Digital forensics revealed emails between Rebecca and David dating back 5 years. 2 years before Lily was even conceived. They had been plotting for half a decade, patiently executing their plan to bleed both our business and marriage dry before making their exit. The most chilling discovery was an email Rebecca sent to David 3 months before our anniversary dinner. The anniversary party is perfect. 15 years is impressive enough to make the announcement dramatic. I've been laying groundwork with friends about Daniel's controlling behavior and workaholic tendencies for months. The custody battle should be straightforward. No judge will separate a child from her biological parents, especially with a father whose business is failing, which it will be once you're gone. The scandal of the announcement will distract from any financial irregularities as everyone focuses on the affair. It's almost time, Dee. Just a little longer. When confronted with the evidence, David broke. He confessed everything, hoping for leniency. Rebecca maintained her innocence, claiming David had manipulated her, that she knew nothing about the embezzlement. But the evidence was overwhelming. The district attorney charged both of them with multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. The case made headlines, not just locally, but nationally. Anniversary. From hell took on a whole new meaning. Justice served. The trial was brutal, but mercifully quick. The evidence was so damning that Rebecca's attorney pushed hard for a plea deal. She eventually accepted, receiving 7 years in federal prison. David, who had cooperated, got 5 years. The media frenzy around the trial propelled my memoir, which I had completed just as the financial crimes came to light, to the top of the bestseller lists. Suddenly, I wasn't just the guy who got humiliated at his anniversary dinner. I was the man who had uncovered a sophisticated financial crime while piecing his life back together. Talk shows that had previously speculated about what I might have done to drive Rebecca to her public announcement now invited me to discuss the case and my book. The narrative had completely shifted. But the most important victory had nothing to do with public vindication or book sales. The family court reversed its earlier rulings about Lily. Given Rebecca and David's criminal convictions, I was granted full custody of my daughter, because, regardless of biology, I was the only stable parent she had ever known. The day that ruling came down, Lily and I sat together on our porch swing, at the new house I had purchased, a fresh start for both of us. "So it's just going to be you and me now?" she asked, leaning her head against my shoulder. "Is that okay?" I asked, suddenly anxious. She was quiet for a moment. "Mom lied about everything," she finally said. "And David, I don't even know what to call him. He was never around anyway. But you've always been my dad. You're the one who shows up." I hugged her tightly, tears stinging my eyes. "Always," I promised. "No matter what." Rebuilding from the ashes. It's been 2 years since Rebecca's announcement destroyed our marriage and revealed a web of lies I never could have imagined. In that time, I've rebuilt my business, without a partner this time, written a best-selling memoir, and most importantly, created a stable, loving home for Lily. Rebecca and David served their sentences in separate federal prisons. Lily has chosen not to visit either of them, though I've made it clear that I would support her if she changed her mind. She receives letters from Rebecca monthly, which sometimes she reads and sometimes she doesn't. It's a complicated relationship that she'll need to navigate in her own way, in her own time. As for me, I've finally started dating again, cautiously. My girlfriend, Claire, understands the unique challenges of our situation and has been amazingly patient as Lily and I figure out this new chapter of our lives. The viral video of that anniversary dinner is still out there, of course. Occasionally someone recognizes me from it, but it no longer has the power to devastate me. It's simply one moment in a much larger story, a story that includes betrayal, yes, but also resilience, discovery, justice, and ultimately, healing. People often ask if I regret the elaborate anniversary dinner that became the stage for my public humiliation. I tell them the truth. That dinner, painful as it was, accelerated the exposure of Rebecca and David's crimes. Without it, they might have completed their plan, leaving me financially ruined and separated from the child I love more than anything. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives are actually doors opening to truths we need to discover. My anniversary dinner from hell didn't destroy my life after all. It saved it. And that's the twist that left everyone speechless. This story is fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental.